All right, guys. Well, welcome back. We're rolling into episode 6 of the High Octane Dads Podcast. We've been enjoying seeing everybody's comments and talking with everybody in the Facebook group and YouTube comments. So keep those coming. It's great talking with you guys, and we're enjoying doing this. So let's roll into episode 6. You ready, Chris?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to jump right in. We got some topics that we laid out today just to kind of keep us on track because, well, we're liable to ramble, as you guys have noticed. But we're going to start out and talk about what part of an automotive build, whatever you may be building, what part of the build do you like the most?
So for me, I don't know why, but I've always been fascinated by different exhaust builds on cars, and especially third gens, because those were always the cars that they have horrible routing for exhaust systems. And so the different ways people over the years figured out how to run trudels or big singles, so on and so forth, and just how the sounds change, how they pick up power or carry power, all that changes. I mean, I've had a lot of different setups that I've done on cars, and I'll run it a while and I'm like, oh, well, let's just try this other muffler. Oh no, let's just try this other one. And I'm never happy with it, or I get happy with it, and for whatever reason I want to change it. And then I'm just really interested in designing new A's. Like I know Matt over the years had posted a lot of builds he did on thirdgen.org.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's
And
running what aluminum now, right? Is it all aluminum?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But no, I just really always thought that stuff was pretty cool. Um, I mean, but like my Caprice, I did the exhaust on it and I put SS mufflers on it. But then I'm like, I'm content with it. But then sometimes like, man, I wish it was a little quieter. So I bought another set of V-bands and I'm gonna put them on my stock mufflers so I can just rotate them in and out. And that way, if I get bored with it being loud, I just swap the other ones on.
Right.
And I mean, that could be, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's something with age, but sometimes I'm not as excited to hop in a super loud car as I used to be. And I've found a lot of my favorite setups over the years on things have been something with a good set of headers, a free flowing exhaust, and like a stock muffler or a relatively stock style muffler. And typically on a street car like what the range we're in, I mean, it's not going to affect you power wise, but so much, and you're going to get gains, but not be dumb loud. I don't know.
Yeah. I think, for me, exhaust is something that I'm like you. I think all the different ways to do it and how that translates to, the performance and how that ties into what your goals are has always been, it's something that's fascinating to me, but it's definitely feels more like black magic and voodoo right now.
I agree.
But I'll definitely, planning to learn more. I think the things I tend to focus on so much are all the little details and even little convenience features in the cars. And, I like having these older vehicles, but having, some newer feature, be it a backup camera or, whatever. I'm much more interested in all that kind of stuff. And I think it comes back to, the Circuit City days and being in that car stereo department and the road shop back there and doing installations. I just think that stuff's cool. It doesn't really fit into the world of race cars, which is what a lot of our, our little circle tends to focus on. But yeah, I love that kind of stuff, and sort of those modern features in the older cars is pretty cool to me.
Oh yeah. I mean, I will say that's one of my favorite things on the car build, well, other than, exhaust systems, but I mean, is a really clean interior.
Oh yeah.
Even if it's like, an original interior, I really appreciate a clean interior. I mean, even if it's like not the best materials, but I mean, everything's kind of in there. I mean, I'd rather it all be good, but I
Yep.
also like, be clean, but, no, I mean, a nice interior, it goes a long way for me.
And that's what I say, like the details, man. Like when you walk up to a car and like that, the interior is just very well done. Even in a race car, right? But like everything looks like it has a place. It's all got, the switches are well thought out and they're in places where they need to be, and the interior is really clean. It's got, just everything in its place. It kind of takes it to another level for me, for sure.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And you figure, I mean, that's where you're spending majority of your time when you're messing with that car. Well, you should be, but that's another story.
Now, and I'll tell you, like another thing, in line with the exhaust, right, and some of the things that I would definitely like to know more about and learn how to set up better is suspension. I mean, looking at the way the third gens are set up with the torque arm and everything, it's so different than like my buddy's Fox body, right? That all the different ways you can set the suspension up, and making sure you've got the right amount of travel and everything, and what the ride height needs to be for an efficient launch and all that stuff. It's fascinating to me. I'm not a math guy by any means. Like, I can appreciate it, but I'm not one who's going to sit down and do the math. But it all still is super interesting on how you can put it all together and go for the launch that you're looking for, and then how that translates to, like, say an autocross car, and what things you got to take into account there. That's all super interesting.
Oh yeah. And I thought that, I've always thought that was a great thing with third gens, how those cars are great. They handle well, just a little bit of work, even stock, for the time, or even some modern cars, they handle pretty well, and they drag race really well. I mean, if you are that kind of person, I mean, you can daily drive one. I mean, I've did them for years. I mean, I know a lot of people that still do, and usually those cars are stock or relatively stock, so that makes a big difference as far as if you want to drive it all the time. But,
oh yeah. I mean, I drove mine. I mean, obviously it was my first car, right? So I drove it, 16 until, but I was well into college till I was probably 19 when I bought the RSX that I drove. And of course that going from a 1986 to a 2006, with a lot of, leather interior and a lot of amenities. Although I still had the tape deck. I used to play my iPod through one of those cassette things that connected to the, to the iPod, and you plugged in the cassette.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm dating myself on that one. That's for sure.
I mean,
it was an iPod Classic.
I never had an iPod. I had some of the other cheaper ones, but I just was burning CDs all the time.
Yep.
Giving back family computer aids. So,
were you a LimeWire man? Kazaa?
Oh, all of it. Napster before it got well, when I was paying for it.
Allegedly using Kazaa and Napster, obviously. Yeah. So, but again, I mean, back when I worked at Circuit City, we had, and you've seen the interior of my car, right? So it's got the carmine red, silver in the middle. We had the birds embroidered on the headrests. Back when we got that done, and I bought it off the shelf. It was like an open box special. It was an Audio Bond base tube, so it just fit down in that well perfectly, and gave me a little tin in the back. And man, I had a lot of Burn CDs, a lot of had some Van Halen and Journey I used to listen to, and then everything in between, because I listen to just about anything, as you well know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, me too.
Cool. Yeah, that was pretty, pretty straightforward one. But one thing that's come up to me, and you and I have both been, at various times into fitness pretty heavily. I know you do a lot of the CrossFit stuff and Olympic lifting, which is something I've never gotten into, but I do go to the gym and lift pretty regularly. Our gym is very close, so it's pretty easy. But that sort of, led us to this topic of sort of healthcare and regular checkups. And I'll admit, I've been the typical guy and dad who it's been 6 or 7 years. I was going for yearly physicals and checkups, and then just one year things got busy and I stopped, and then it was like the world didn't end. And next thing you know, it's like, I feel relatively healthy. And then you go 6 or 7 years and you haven't been. So recently started going back to get, all my blood work and everything done. And luckily they said everything looks great. So apparently I was doing a decent job of keeping the diet and things in check. But yeah, just sort of a PSA out there too. But I guess I didn't realize how many people were like me who just don't go to the doctor. Are you one of those guys? You the big strong guy that doesn't go see the doctor?
No, I mean, I go to yearly physicals, do the blood work. Like I do the whole dentist, dermatologist now. Yeah, and gastro doctor. The dad diet's not always that great.
You're pre-gaming for your 40s, aren't you? You're trying to go ahead and get ahead of it. Smart man.
Yeah, trying to get it all done.
It's looming around the corner.
But no, yeah, I try to get there for a while. I was in and out, and I would go to like the dentist and stuff like that, but like the regular doctor, I wouldn't go very often unless I absolutely had to. Finally, 6 or 7 years ago, I'm like, all right, let me start going. And we're starting to do the physicals every year, just having things checked. It's like my dad's got lupus, so I wanted to get checked to make sure, see if I had it. That was another part of it. So we started doing those, and I mean, I will say it's been, I think, 2 or 3 years since I've been to the eye doctor now, so I need to call and make an appointment with them. But no, I try to go. I hit all of them every year. That way, to kind of. Ever since I kind of had my back stuff going on, I'm like, yeah, we need to hit the doctor more.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm staying in check.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has maybe that wake up thing, and obviously, losing dad wasn't necessarily not like it's something that would have been caught, because he did go to his doctors regularly and everything. But for me, it's just kind of a wake up call that, hey, if there is ever something going on, like you kind of want to know. And, want to get in and start going. And as I'm there, she's asking me, she's like, when's the last time you had a physical? And I told her it's been a while. And she's like, when's the last time you had your eyes checked? And I said, I don't know, 15 years ago, but it was 2013 vision. So like, I don't have any problems. I don't, really have trouble seeing anything. So I haven't really thought about it. And then she was like, well, what about the dentist? And I was like, we don't talk about that. That's not, it's not something that we talk about.
Yeah.
I got real scared of the dentist as a kid, and it's not like I'm not scared nowadays. It's just I don't want the hassle. That's terrible. I know.
Well, I mean, I was a kid, and we went to the dentist quite often because I was always knocking my teeth out. So there was that.
No, I was. I mean,
knocked at least 2 out, and chipped a couple. So
dang, Chris. Now, for me, it was like I wasn't a kid that ate a lot of sweets. I brushed my teeth and did all the stuff I was supposed to do. And I swear, every time I went to the dentist, they're like, yeah, you got a little cavity right here. We're going to have to drill it and put a filling in. And like, in a span of like a few years, I've got so many fillings in my teeth that I was like, man, this sucks. Every time I go, it's like, I got to go and have work done. And I, was supposedly doing all the right things, or so I thought. And, looking back, it was probably all the sweet tea we drink down here. But, it's just, it's like now I'm like, man, if something's not hurting, I'm not going. And so, knock on wood, hadn't had a lot of issues, so hadn't been. But it's similar to the doctor. Like I know full well I need to be going again. So.
Yeah, and you get to that point where you learn that you need to be more proactive than reactive.
For sure.
So, and I mean, it's a hard one to do and to admit sometimes, but you're better off to try to catch things sooner than later.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I, just on on the subject of health and even mental health, right? Like I brought up, when I was meeting with the doctor, it's like, hey, I need to, I don't know what the process is to find out, like if you've got ADHD, right? But both of my sons have been diagnosed with ADHD, and it was like, you see all of these, I know you guys have seen the TikToks and the Instagrams about all the different ADHD symptoms, and you look at them and it's like, yeah, that's funny, but it's also my daily life. And when I filled out the little questionnaire, I think she walked in and kind of looked at the questionnaire and was like, oh, geez, yeah. And so, we're talking about, potential treatment for ADHD as an adult. And that's something that wasn't really talked about when I was a kid, because there weren't a lot of great medications or alternatives that didn't just turn you into a zombie, right? But it's a lot different now. And if you have a headache, you take medicine for it, right? If you got something going on, like I think there's a big stigma for guys around not talking about that kind of stuff, and not just ADHD, but like if you're struggling with something, you know what I'm saying? Like talk to somebody about it. And I kind of had to, for me, it was like in the doctor's office, like I just got to blurt it out and say it to the doctor so we can start the conversation about it, and then we'll go from there, you know? But yeah, I mean, you know, in talking about like, you know, mental health, physical health, right? It's something that people have got to do. I mean, I've had, you know, friends of the family that, you know, it's a crappy subject, but friends of the family who have, you know, ended their lives, right? And it's not something that you ever want to have to deal with.
Yep.
But it's very real. And it's, you know, it's one of those things that there are a lot of resources out there. And, you know, if somebody needs somebody to talk to or needs some help, like you want to know that they can go and get it, or that they're willing to ask for it.
And I mean, you know, trying to do some of those things like going to a gym, you know, trying to find people, you know, that you have similar, you know, interests in, you know, shit. But, you know, find some people that, you know, you get along with well, and maybe you can spend some time with, you know, talk with them, you know, find, you know, common interest there.
And sometimes I think it's equally as important, right, to be that friend that's not judgmental if you got a buddy that needs to talk about something, right? Because, you know, we're going to have a hard time bringing it up. But once we do, you know, you know, you don't know what everybody's been through and what path they're walking and what they've got going on. And so sometimes just listening is huge. You know, I'm lucky that, you know, I've got a lot of people around me that I know that I can talk to and lean on if those things come up. And I think it's just important to let your friends know that, you know, you would do the same for them, you know?
Oh yeah. And I mean, you know, going to the gym, you know, finding those friends, you're getting into hobbies like cars, you know, all them might be expensive, you know, it sometimes is a good release. Or going, like I said, going to the gym, you know, typically, you know, exercising will help out your mental health. I know for me, I hurt my back again back in September, so I've been out for a while, and I went to physical therapy again, and then, you know, work and everything got busy, so I haven't been able to go back to a regular scheduled, you know, lifting program anymore. But I uh, was reached out by a friend of mine, and they were trying to get people for an ollie class. And man, I'd love to do it, but I'm like, I really need to start slow before I jump right back into the Olympic lifting.
Oh yeah, for
But,
sure. You don't want to rush it because I mean, you know, going back a little too fast, sure, you get to start a little sooner, but then,
no.
right, like you might injure yourself to a point that you can't get back to it at all. And I've definitely been there. I, you know, hurt my hand last summer somewhere around there, and it was a while before I felt like my grip strength was back to really be able to do much of anything.
Yeah.
But to that point, I think, you know, having a great support group around you is huge, that you can talk to. But two, fitness as a, you know, a staple to your routine is huge for me, because I can definitely tell when I don't go, right? And I mean, it might be as simple as getting out and walking, right? Doing something. You know, you have a, I'm assuming relatively active job, right? You're not sedentary like I am, sitting at a computer most of the day, or maybe standing.
I don't know. I try to sit on my ass as much as I can.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So, you know, there's plenty of people that work with me that listen. So, yeah, they'll attest to that.
All right.
But I mean, no, we work on machines, but no, my particular job, you know, it doesn't require me to be standing full time. So, no, fairly sedentary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, and again, just staying, you know, fairly active. Get those steps in, if nothing else, right? Like find something to do, and then, you know, if that thing that gets you up and moving and gets you out of your head and not just sitting around, you know, doom scrolling on Facebook or whatever it is getting out and working on your car and doing your, you know, give it 15 to 20 minutes a day and get out there and work on your project. Like maybe that's the thing that kind of gets you out of your head. Like having something is huge. You know, for me, going to the gym is definitely a big part of that. Obviously, you know, I play video games with my boys. We play Smash and Mario Kart and all this stuff. Not as much as of late, but, you know, enjoy doing that with them. Just find something that you can do to kind of get out of your head.
I definitely can tell for myself, since I haven't been going to a regular, you know, program, routines that just physically and mentally, I just don't feel as well. And, definitely, staying active will help a lot of things more than just, your physical appearance and physical health.
Yeah, for sure. It's there's a lot of endorphins and things that come from getting a good workout in and getting out and being active and just I do feel like even on tough days when I'm like, man, I'm frustrated with work, and I'll say this a lot, I'm very blessed because the gym is so close that I take my lunch break and that's when I go. So I'm not trying to find time away from the family. I'm not getting off work and then still have to try and go. I'm able to get up on my lunch break, run to the gym, do a quick 40-minute workout of some sort, chest, back, whatever, and then run back home and make it back for my next meeting. So that's definitely a blessing that I don't take for granted. Now when the kids are out for summer break like they are, you get off on your lunch break and they want you to make them something to eat, or maybe one of the kids wants to get in the pool or something, and then I'm like, all right, I'll skip today. And so I tend to be more of a 2-day a week kind of guy in the summertime when they're not in school, but when they're in school, I usually go at least 5 days. So
yeah, I always found for me like 3 to 4 was ideal. Like I said, it's a little different for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. And we could probably spend a whole hour talking about the idea of overtraining and making sure that you're getting adequate rest days. And I think some people do require more rest days than others. I just feel super guilty on my rest days, and so sometimes what I do is I'll go do I'll do 20 to 30 minutes on a 10% incline and walk about 1.5 miles or something like that, because at least then I feel like I did something, but I wasn't fatiguing those muscles as much. So again, I think we could go way down that rabbit hole, and there's probably way better podcasts with people that are a lot more knowledgeable, but love to hear the thoughts down in the comments for sure. Yeah, so speaking of when you need to take that time to relax, we were talking about this earlier, and again, one of those things we want to hear in the comments, but what's your favorite car movie?
So for me, it's definitely Smokey and the Bandit.
Classic.
Yeah, I mean, that's just that's the one that I remember the most. I mean, it's what made me love, Firebirds, Pontiac. Firebirds are much better than Camaros.
Amen, brother.
But I'm a little biased. But yeah, no. I mean, there's a lot of great ones. But I mean, that's definitely my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, Smokey and the Bandit's a classic. I love it. Can't so much attest for 2 and 3. But I have watched them. Bullet was a great movie. It's funny because the first time I watched Bullet, and I actually had a 2001 Bullet edition Mustang for a while, the black one. It was a really fun car, and that one was cool. And I remember seeing that movie when I was younger, and Dad watching it and being like, how do you watch this? And then going back and watching it when I was older, I was like, this is a pretty cool movie. And, I enjoyed it a lot more with some context, I guess. But I don't know. The first time I remember watching a car movie that it was like, this has to do with cars, and it just grabbed me, was Gone in 60 Seconds. And the new one with Nicolas Cage. Like, it just, everything about that movie at the time when I watched it, I loved everything about it. And, some people may love it, hate it, whatever. And it was a remake, but I loved the hell out of that movie. So cool.
Yeah, I agree. That was a great one. I want to say came out probably around the time that I was really getting into cars, I guess, when I was younger. I mean, can't remember what year that movie came out, but yeah, that was a big one for me too. And we mostly GM guys, but the Eleanor, it's definitely. I'd love to have a fastback Mustang, but time, money.
Eleanor and the Ferraris were the things I remember, which I think the dog ate the keys to the Ferraris, and so they had to feed the dogs a bunch of laxatives to try to get the keys back. I think it was the Ferraris.
Either that or the Mercedes. I do know there was a third gen in that. Yeah, there was a third gen in that movie. It's either a base Firebird or a Formula.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, 2000, for anybody that's wondering, is when that came out. So 24 years ago, for anybody that's counting. and I just got a couple more gray hairs. But
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, I think if I had to pick a favorite car movie that just, kind of has those memories for me, that would be it for me.
Cool.
But
Yeah.
Smokey and the Bandit's got to be right there with it because, I mean, it's a classic.
I had never seen it until a few years ago, finally. But I finally watched Two-Lane Blacktop, and
Yeah.
it's a great car movie, but it lacks a lot. Leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
But Vanishing Point, that's one of my favorites too.
Yeah. American Graffiti's a good one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Gotta love American Graffiti because they just had the the typical cruising the strip and hanging out and doing some drag racing. That was it's a great one. So yeah, I definitely want to hear in the comments, or we'll make a post on the Facebook group. What's your favorite car movie? What's that one that takes you back to when you first got into cars or made you first love cars?
Yeah, let us know what you think.
And
what's your movie?
Yep. And we're recording this. It is July 3rd. I don't think we will have this episode out on the 4th, but Chris has got his flag up here. We're getting ready to celebrate Treason Day tomorrow, and we will be celebrating in style with the pool and a couple of Boston butts and hot dogs, a bunch of family over. So it's going to be a good time. We'll make some posts on the page, and then this episode should come out on the 12th. Just FYI, we're shooting for a little bit shorter, but we're going to try to increase the frequency on the episodes. So see if we can get some out each week, which should be a lot of fun. Now that our schedules are kind of settling back down, we think we can make it happen. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to that as well. And look out for some more of Chris's reels or TikToks for Independence Day.
Yeah. We'll have some more out.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome, man. Well, I say it every time, but I definitely enjoyed this. It was good getting together and hanging out. I think we also got some pretty fun blooper reels for the TikToks, so I'll get those put together.
Oh yeah.
But awesome, man. Well, Chris, I hope you have a great night, and we will see everybody in the next one.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
All right. Have a good evening, folks.